Welcome to the Songwriter Connection, the podcast that delves deep into the art and heart of songwriting. Each week, we gather around the dining room table to uncover the stories behind the songs. We invite you to join us on a journey to the creative minds of the songwriters who shape the melodies of our lives. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenahan.
Well, Nashville, they say, is a 10-year town. Our guest today has been here for 6 months. But you know what? The story goes back, and he's had a lot of success. He's up and coming. He's a good friend of mine. Is Michael Saleta, who has been on the show before. And Mike, the last time it was Zoom, and you were in Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah. I was actually in Sale, Victoria, Australia, which is I was at my dad's house.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Which was, it's 3 hours east of Melbourne. So,
and that's kind of where is that where you grew up?
That's where I grew up. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It was kind of going back and staying with my dad after Sarah had moved to Nashville. It was great to have connected with him, and going back home for a little while.
Not bad.
So that was pretty cool to spend that time with him.
Absolutely. Your story, we say 6 months here, but your story goes way beyond that. You've been a member of NSAI for quite some time.
Yeah. My PRO, Mark Moffat from APRA, had recommended that I join. He's based here in Nashville, and he recommended I join NSAI back in 2018. So,
if you don't know NSAI, Nashville Songwriters Association International, a fantastic group organization that really helped. It's done a lot for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, they've been a super champion, and I think because they've seen that I've worked really hard and they've supported that, and it's not that thing that I've gone and said, hey, what can you do for me?
Right.
I was like, what can I do for myself to help myself, and how can you help me along the way, kind of thing. And
you've done some cool things for them. Like, you're one of the most organized songwriters I know, and you did a little some blurbs for them, right? Video things about
I did
organization.
Some video content not long ago when I got back. Just about being an organized songwriter, because I use spreadsheets and everything and keep my songs all with links and keep track of all that. Just, I don't know. It's just good to be organized.
And when you write hundreds of songs, it's easy to get some of them lost. And
absolutely, I've certainly forgotten about songs, and then and look through that spreadsheet and go, oh, I wonder what that sounds like. And then it's like, okay, that's that lyric. And then I'll go into my phone and listen to like a work tape or a rough or something. It's like, hey, that was pretty cool. But I guess you've got to keep on. You wake up every day and you a new song kind of happens. When you're in the room. So
yeah, it does. Yeah, you've got a lot of accolades from NSAI. Let's just talk about a few of them. You've really got to think about it, because you've done so much. You've had great success with some of their song contests and things.
Yeah, lots of ones to watch.
Ones to watch, as they say. Yeah.
And they used to do a thing called Play for Publisher. Luncheon thing, a bunch of songs that were taken for that.
Always an honor if you're taken.
So it's just like, okay, well, we think your song is good enough to be able to showcase to publishers. Member of the Year back in 2020.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, we spoke about that last time, which is really cool. I've still got that medallion, which is quite special, and I think that was just an acknowledgement of how hard I work.
Sure. A little validation for what you do, huh?
Yeah. And just my participation within NSAI, just to being a super active member.
Yep.
And in 2021, I had 2 songs in the top 10 song contest, Ho Ho Hold My Beer. And
that's a cool song.
That is a fun song for Christmas. And Now I Do, which Andrew Mack ended up cutting.
Love that guy.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
And they have a thing called the Bob Kinsley Top 40 now.
Yeah.
He used to be a radio personality.
He did the countdown for years.
So they do a top 40 every quarter. So I've had a bunch of songs, that I've co-written that have been on that. I think there's been about 6 or 8 songs that have been on that. Mm-hmm. What else?
This is just the NSAI stuff, folks.
Yeah.
Folks, let me tell you. He's also had number ones in Australia.
Yeah, it's the last one was in January of this year, and that was number 1 for 5 weeks on Australian country airplay chart.
That's awesome.
And it lasted in that chart for 17 weeks.
That's amazing.
Which is really, really cool.
And
that
the artist
was my 5th number 1, and that was Craig Lloyd.
Craig Lloyd. Okay. Aussie or?
Yeah, well, he's actually originally from the UK, but he immigrated to Australia and met his wife there. Wow. And he's kind of doing the country thing a little bit part-time as a full-time, job. But the stuff that he's released has, always done quite well. And he writes with really great people and uses great producers. So
another artist you're always writing there with and have had success with is Sandy Facey.
Yeah. She's actually originally from Michigan.
Is she?
She met her husband here in the US, down in Florida, who's an Aussie originally from Queensland, and and she relocated, with the kids back to Australia, and she's been there I think for 20 years. We met in 2010, I think it was, or 2011. I worked for her doing a children's music program.
Really?
So we used to sing kids' songs together, and then she, we did a duo together, a covers duo, and then she decided she wanted to start writing songs, and then we kind of connected on that level, and I've kind of been her Bernie Taupin in a sense.
That's great.
We've had a great partnership with writing songs together. It hasn't been like, we write songs every week or anything.
One big success in January of this past year, right?
Yeah. The song about meeting her husband, best one yet. That took out the People's Choice Awards at the Tamworth Country Music Festivals for best song.
Wow.
Which was really cool.
That's great.
And when Sarah went back to Australia back in March, she got that.
Sarah, your lovely wife.
Yeah, my lovely wife. She brought that back for me, so that was kind of cool that Sandy actually got 2 plaques, and
wow.
Sarah caught up with Sandy, and Sarah brought it home.
Isn't that great?
Which is really cool. So that's hanging on the wall, and that's a very, very proud achievement to be like, wow.
Yeah.
I guess when you write songs, you don't know if they're going to reach anyone or if they're going to do anything. You just write songs. I've been doing it since I was 16. I just still love doing it. And
you played in rock bands from the age of 16 in Australia, right?
Yeah. Been doing it a long time. And when I was getting my visa sorted, what they call an O1 visa here, somebody with extraordinary ability, I had to lay out my career, and it was just really interesting looking at everything, because I'd kept a whole bunch of newspaper articles from the 90s and 2000s of a lot of the achievements that I had, which was thankfully I did that.
He's very organized. Yeah.
And Sarah was like, that's why you hoard all that music stuff. I've still got lyrics that I wrote from when I was 16 in a huge box. I've got, paper of lyrics from.
That's awesome.
From all over the years that.
Wow.
I just can't let go of them.
Did you ever estimate like how many songs I couldn't begin to tell you. I have a friend, Billy, he'll tell me exactly how many he's written over the years. How about you?
It's too many.
Yeah, it is too many.
From 16
That's awesome.
to it. Yeah. It would be easily over 1,000. Easy, because just since I've been keeping track of the Nashville thing, I've hit 500.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, of course, now you need to know that if you don't know Michael Saleta, he is a hardworking songwriter. You do 2-3 writes a day, and you're always out there writing.
Yeah, not as much as what I used to, because now that I'm here full time, there's a bit more strategy behind it. Whereas back when I was in Australia, it was that thing that I just wanted to keep working
right around.
And really just to try and improve on the craft. And I think the more you write,
I agree,
that the more that helps you. Writing with lots of different people, writing with different styles of music.
Yeah.
So
you take a little bit from each session. You do. You learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you learn. If you're not learning from the people that you write with, then you're not.
I agree.
I don't know. I think you should always go in with an open mind and open heart.
I think so too.
Go right.
Yeah. Like Kevin Griffin said on episode 100, your ego is not your amigo, right?
That's great.
I've
heard that one before.
Yeah. And I've also read that, some people come to town, they've never co-written before. Yeah. And it's a co-writing town. But I've read that you've always been into collaboration and believe in it strongly.
Yeah. I mean, my first band, the first song I ever wrote, it was on my own, and I still remember that song. And when I get my first number one in the US and I get to do the Bluebird or the Listening Room, after that, I'm gonna pull out my really bad first song I ever wrote. And it was called Satisfaction. It was just three chords, A, G, and D.
And the truth, right?
And yeah, absolutely. But I was 16, that was all I knew. And, but, then I started collaborating with the keyboard player and the drummer from that band that I put together. And it was just something that I really loved. And the next band I was in, I collaborated with those and continued.
My next question, you had said something to me that I just thought was so brilliant. And I've repeated it on this podcast. You said that your network is your net worth.
Yeah,
I
did get that from someone.
Did you?
I can't remember who it was, but I do love that. And your network is your net worth. I mean, that's your value, and that's what you can bring to, especially if you are searching for a publishing deal. Mm-hmm. The publisher wants to know that you're writing with some other really great people and great artists that have potential to become a future, success.
Exactly.
So if you're bringing something like that to the table, your network. Say, hey, I'm writing with this person, and I'm writing with this artist, and all that kind of stuff. They're like, ooh, okay.
And you've written with some big ones since you've been in town. Kirsty Manna, and
I wrote with Kirsty Manna and J4.
J4 is another great artist up and coming.
I'm hoping that maybe by the time this podcast comes out, we'll know more about if he's releasing that song that we wrote that day. He seems very, very keen.
I've heard him play it out. It's a great song.
Yeah, it's a fun song. It was that was just a great energy that day. You know how some, every room you walk into has a different kind of energy, and with his youth and his energy, he's a fantastic artist and has huge potential.
Musical genius, he really is.
I didn't realize he played piano quite that great.
He's a concert.
So I got on and did, because whenever I see a piano, I love to jump on and just do Let It Be, because that's kind of that's my go-to song.
Oh, that's beautiful in the piano.
And then he gets on and he just, I don't know. It wasn't Tchaikovsky, but it was just something brilliant like that. And I'm like,
he loves Chopin, and so his real name is Joe. I always call him Joe Pan.
Oh, okay, that's
He's
cool.
been on the podcast. If you go into the archives, you can find J4.
Yeah, everybody go check out J4, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's a good guy. So I want to go back to Sandy Facey, because you got a song out there with her right now.
Yeah, it just dropped in radio in Australia. It comes out on the 28th in Australia, and then obviously here.
Yeah.
It's actually been a slow burn with this song. It was an idea that Sandy brought, I think it was 2 years ago. She had found old letters from her parents, love letters that they wrote to each other back in World War II. Her dad was stationed in San Antonio in Texas.
Okay.
And they would write love letters to each other. And, as you know, back then, there was no Instagram, there was no texting, there was no emails even way back then. So that's how they communicated. And Sandy was just really taken aback by the love letters that she found of her parents, wrapped in that cotton string.
Isn't that something?
And she read through them, and obviously it was quite an emotional time for her. And she said, look, I'd love to be able to write a song about this. And, as you do, you flesh out a whole bunch of different, scenarios, and how do we land this? How do we make this something that people can relate to, that's going to make people feel something? So, as we kind of occasionally got together, we touched base about it. Oh, yep. And then finally we got it kind of wrapped up towards the end of last year.
Wow. So it wasn't one of those one session,
definitely
half hour
not.
we got it done.
Like her last single, that came together really, really quickly, and that was released before, this, because it was just a feel-good song. It's like, that's perfect for summer in Australia.
Yeah.
So that's why that was released back in November, perfect time for Australia. And that best, My Kind of Good Life, that was the number one for her back in Australia as well, back in December. So
that's awesome.
And it was that thing that even Best One Yet was more of a tempo song. And the one before that was kind of ballady. So she's come back around to, I want to release another ballad, and this is the one.
This is the one.
She felt that it was time for that song. And as a professional songwriter, we service the artist. We're here to help them.
Absolutely.
With their voice, to say something that means something to them. And it's just, it even gives me the tingles, thinking about it, that she's finally getting to share, her experience with those letters and the love story of her mum and dad.
Well, we got to hear it. We have to hear it.
Yeah, it's called Next Heartbeat, and it's a beautiful song produced by Michael Carpenter. This was the first song that Sandy's done with Michael, and he's an award-winning producer back in Australia. And he works with a lot of different Australian artists. Great producer. So awesome. And I've forgotten the name of the guy that's playing lap steel, but he does a great job. And it's I think the melody and the music really suits the tone of the song and the love story that Sandy unfolded. Reading the letters.
I'm anxious to hear it. Let's play it. Here we go. Sandy Facey, song co-written by our guest today, Michael Saleta, on the Songwriter Connection podcast.
I found some letters after Daddy passed away. They were dated 1943, wrapped in cotton string, faded and torn, took me back in time. Before I was born, I slowly opened one. This is what it said. You're a swell girl, my whole world, and I'll write you every day. Promise you that I'll be true, and my love won't fade away. San Antonio's a lonely place without you, counting down the days to get me through. Forever I will be, son. Your next heartbeat is me. Letter by letter, the love story would unfold. Pen to paper, he shared his heart and his soul. He wrote about that scorching Texas heat, dirty barracks, push-ups on repeat, barely missing her in every word that he wrote. You're a swell girl, my whole world, and I'll write you every day. I promise you that I'll be true, and my love won't fade away. San Antonio's a lonely place without you, counting down the days to get me through. Forever I will be, son. Your next heartbeat is me. Transcends the years as I'm fighting back these tears. I can still hear Daddy's voice when I read those words he wrote. You're a swell girl, my whole world, and I'll write you every day. True, and my love won't fade away. San Antonio's a lonely place without you, counting down the days to get me through. Forever I will be, son. The next heartbeat is me.
That's Sandy Facey, and it's a great song. It's out there streaming everywhere right now, co-written by Michael Saleta, our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. Sometimes in a collaboration like that, you got magic and a song just like seems to pour out. And then there are other songs with topics like this that you just have to grind it out. And you've got to, you have to, sometimes it just takes time to get it right and craft it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this was definitely one of those songs, and I know Sandy really wanted to get it right.
Being special to her.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So she came to you with this idea. Did she have the hook there? The next heartbeat is me? Or is that something you did as you were going?
It was definitely something we did as we were going, because it was like, I think it might have been originally like something to do with love letters or something like that. And then, it was that thing of, it's that creative thing that you throw in. Let's kind of make this interesting with how we're going to land that hook of like, so it's just not like, hey, love letters, and that's the name of the song. So, and when she felt lyrically that it was ready, and then melodically we were going back with certain ideas, and we hadn't done the bridge, and then because she usually kind of leans on me a lot with that melody stuff and the music, because she's still learning guitar and stuff. So I'll like throw down an idea and throw it at her, and she'll be like, yeah, I like that, and then she'll take it and sing it. The artist will sing it how they sing it, because we all have our inflections.
We do,
and we all sing things differently, and then she does it and puts it in the key that suits her voice and all that kind of stuff. So,
and I always tell artists that I write with, don't be afraid to make it your own. If you're going to make a little change here and there, do it. It's got to be you.
That has happened. I think pretty much on every song that we've written together. When she's in the studio and naturally when she's singing it the way she sings it, she'll change a phrase a little bit, or she'll change a lyrics so it actually fits in how
exactly.
So and there was a couple little things on the finished product where I'm like, that's even better than what we kind of put down. So because that's a great thing of when an artist is working with a producer in the studio, he's hearing things a little bit differently as well. And,
that's right.
And a great producer is going to push you a little further and say, hey, why don't you try it this way? And then it's going to land. Oh, well, that's even better.
Everybody has. We've said it so many times in the past. The songs take on a life of their own, and whether it's the artist, producer, whoever's doing this, they each have their own vision for the song. And that's when I go into a producer and I'll play him a work tape, and I go, "Now, well, what do you want it to sound like?" I'll be interested to know your vision of this song first, okay? And I want to hear their creative, because that's important. Creativity is an amazing thing. What is your vision of the song? Did it match your vision when you first heard it?
I actually think that the finished version that Sandy and Michael worked on was even better than what.
That's great when it comes out that way.
Because I did like a work tape kind of thing with a drum track, and it's that thing that I knew that she was going to be working with a producer, so I didn't. I think if you kind of think a song's got to go one way, and then an artist releases it, and it's completely different than what you wanted.
What you vision. Yeah.
I've stopped doing that since I've stopped doing the artist thing.
Is that hard
in the
to
bands.
Yeah.
No, not really.
You separate yourself from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because I like, even the other night I went and saw an Australian artist that's over here at the moment that I've been writing with, and I had a work tape of the finished song. It was a song I wrote with Tracy Richardson and this artist,
I love her,
young Australian artist that comes from my hometown, Misty. And I got to hear she's already cut the song. She's already recorded an EP, and we only wrote it, I think, 4 weeks ago.
Wow!
So which is super exciting. But she played at the 5 spot the other night, and I got to hear the song live with a band, and I'm like, oh wow! And she's got an incredible voice. So you know that feeling. It's cool to work on a song in the writer's room and then just let it go.
Yeah.
And because at the end of the day, it's the artist that's recording it, and whatever they envision, I completely fully trust. And even my first Canadian cut, when Trevor and I finished that song, it was just a work tape, and then it went to, he pitched it to the artist loved it, and they recorded it. And I was like, wow, this is a bit bit more rocky than what I thought it was going to be, but I loved their version because, I come from the rock background, so it was a bit more country rock, and I'm like, this is cool.
Yeah.
The artist James Downham did a fantastic version. I loved what they did with it. So it's like, wow, this is, I couldn't have produced it like that, you know?
So, not only a multi-instrumentalist, and he writes a lot, but he's had hits in at least 3 different countries, right?
Well, yeah, the Canadian. That was a top 10.
Excuse me. Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I haven't had a hit yet, but working on it, right?
Yeah, you're working on it.
And the 5 number ones in Australia. So I think
Tasmania. Is that part of Australia? Tasmania.
It sure is. It's the part that broke off way back when.
Is it its own government country, or is it no?
No. It falls under the same federal government, similar to states. You you have your own state.
Because you and I have been to the top of the charts there in Tasmania.
Yes.
What's it called? The OC?
Well, it's the Tas Oz CMR, which is country music radio. So OZ. And I did a radio interview with them before I left to come here in November, because I met him at an award show down in Tasmania. And he was super interested in my story, and we got to chat, and he played a bunch of demos, and which was really, really cool, because he's just like, I want to pump you up for the show. I want to share with people, because he doesn't normally have songwriters on the show. It's more about artists.
Isn't that cool?
Which was super cool. So it was, it's still a big chart, and it's well respected by the best of the best in Australia, because they're even on that chart, the best
best of the best.
Yeah, and even the airplay chart of the last song, because even here we have a couple of different charts in Nashville. That's like, you've got the Billboard charts, you've got that's the only one I can think of at the moment. But in
Music
Nashville,
chart,
they've got so there's a bunch of different charts. They're all well respected, and the airplay chart kind of that covers all the radio stations in Australia. What song gets basically played the most.
I think he even knocked one of my songs out of the top 5 at one point too. Yeah, you've had a lot of success there. You always tell people, I go, I had my first number 1 song. I always say I had my first number 1 country song, and then I go, yay, congrats! And I go, all right, so the country was Tasmania.
Well, it's considered Australia.
But it's considered Australia.
And when I went down there, like, I'd never been to Launceston, and it's a beautiful city. Like, I was like, man, now I'm living here in Nashville. I have no intention of going back to Australia, but it was like, I really would have loved to have seen that part of the country with Sarah, on a vacation. It would have been, because I got to hang out with Sandy, and I get to hang out with another Aussie artist, Lee Grace, and we did a little bit of touristy stuff. But it was a beautiful, beautiful small city. It was very colonial,
nice
kind of vibes, like old buildings, and obviously the convicts from the UK way back when were sent all the way down there.
And Tasmania's way down under, right?
Yeah, way down under.
Yeah,
so the Tasman
getting farther
Sea
down, you're Antarctica. Yeah, right.
Well, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you're looking at like a roughly an hour flight.
Wow.
From Melbourne to Hobart or Launceston. So
wow.
Or I'm not sure you can go there via boat as well.
Can you? Okay.
But not driving. It's not safe unless you're James Bond with the underwater car.
Now, we played the last one. It was the production of the song. So around the dining room table, you brought your guitar, and we need to hear songs from you on this show that you've written. Why don't you play one, and we're going to take it into the break, and then we come back.
Cool.
We're going to talk more about the Michael
so I'm
Saleta
gonna.
story.
This is definitely one of my favorites to play out. I mean, I don't do it every time because I don't want to be doing the same song every single round.
I know me either.
But I wrote this with Hayden Kane and John Frank back in 2021. So this is a three-year-old song just about, and it's had a little bit of success, and we can probably talk about that after I do the performance.
Sure.
And the significance of why I love playing this song. This is called Raise Riot.
Yeah, it's a great song.
All you need to jump a creek is a bike and a piece of plywood. The Milky Way is clear as day from your daddy's rusty trucker. But 328 makes a damn good first date. The goal line and overtime's a great place to pray. I guess you learn a few things when you're raised right up a dirt road. You whitetails and bird dogs don't mess up your church calls on Sunday. Raised right like that old flag where you take off your ball cap. Don't blast me, Jesus, the George Strait. That down the hollow, blue around the collar light. You'll get your raise right. But don't raise your voice when you're talking to your mama. And don't say you'll be there for a friend if you ain't gonna. You give up your coat when your girl says it's cold. Stand up for what's right. Take a seat when you're wrong, 'cause you're right up the dirt road. Your whitetails and bird dogs don't mess up your church clothes on Sunday. Raised right like that old flag where you take off your ball cap. Don't blast me, Jesus, the George Strait. That down the hollow, blue around the collar light. It'll get you raised like a 2-ton on 28-inch tires. Like hands in the air in a Southern Baptist choir. Like crops in the barn to get you through the winter time. Like hell on a Saturday night. Raised right up a dirt road with whitetails, bird dogs don't mess up your church scrolls on Sunday. Raised right like that old flag where you take off your ball cap. Don't blast me, Jesus, the George Strait. That down the hollow, blue around the collar light. It'll get you raised right. Then down the hollow, blue around the collar light. It'll get you raised right.
Last time Michael Saleta was on the podcast, we couldn't do this because we Zoomed it. He was in Australia.
Yeah, we Zoomed.
And he's a great performer. You're a great performer. You've been doing it for a long time. 16 years old in rock bands all around.
Yeah.
But that song right there, Raised Right, that's one of those NSAI top 40 Bob Kingsley
Yeah, that was
songs.
in that, as well as it made it to the top 10 of the NSAI CMT/Bluebird Cafe Song Contest.
Man.
So that was really, really cool.
Some feathers in your cap there.
Definitely some feathers in my cap, and that was definitely a proud moment. And I've written over 65 songs with John, and that's
John Frank.
John Frank.
Mm-hmm.
And he loves. I know he loves playing that song out, and I love playing it out. It just has that significance. And I think when the three of us come from completely different upbringings. John coming from Florida and Hayden from Kentucky and me from Australia, and it was that thing of like,
wow.
I think there's a lot of commonality within the song. It doesn't matter where you are from the world, like as long as being raised right,
Raised. And I like how you twisted it too. You're raised right up the road, and then
right. Raised right like
Twisting
that old flag,
yeah.
Like it.
Like you're raising the flag. Yes, you were in that key of raised. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. It's just a really great song to play out. And the demo that we have is a bit more rocky than the demo than the version I like to do is a bit more chill. And that song I actually used for an audition for the Bluebird earlier on this year, and that song gave me the tick of approval. So we're playing the Bluebird in July, late July. So
that's awesome.
My first writer's night. Yeah,
that's a great accomplishment.
That song. It's that thing of you want to be able to sing a song at an audition like that you just absolutely love, and you feel you feel that connection with, and that's just one of those songs. So
absolutely is. Lots of great imagery in it too.
Yeah,
we'll take a break, but more with Michael Saleta coming up. Don't go away.
You're listening to the Songwriter Connection with Dave Linehan. Find us on Facebook and YouTube at the Songwriter Connection Podcast, and find Dave at thedaveconnection.com. Now back to the show with your host, Dave Linehan.
For a little while, I worked at the Ryman Auditorium, the mother church of country music. As you know, I was a country DJ for a lot of years. And when I retired, I just couldn't slam the door and stop. So I thought, what a cool job to be a tour guide at the mother church, because I'm into history and I could tell my stories and meet a lot of new people. And one of the coolest things, other than a tour guide, I used to run the Make a Record booth, and we'd invite people in, and they could make a record there at the Ryman. And we had a bunch of songs in a book, and you could choose the song you wanted. And the tracks were already produced. You just sang over top of them. Most of the tracks were done by the Grand Ole Opry Band, which is so cool. But we also had a couple of guitars hanging on the walls. So in case, you wanted to do your own song, you could. And downtimes I'd pick up one of those guitars and I'd be playing, and practicing my craft, and becoming a better guitar player. But one day, it was a Saturday, this lovely lady comes in, Sarah from Australia, with her husband, Michael, and they're going to make a record. And Michael goes, I don't want to do any of this. Can I take out one of those guitars and play one of my own? I go, well, sure, you're a song. He goes, yeah. And so anyway, he does, and he blows me away. And we've been friends ever since.
Absolutely, yeah.
In writing, and it's good to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me back, because a little bit's happened since, obviously, 2021.
A lot. And, it's like the Grateful Dead said, what a long, strange trip it's been. Because you've been trying to get here since then, haven't you? And she got here first, right?
So Sarah arrived January the 1st, 2021.
Wow.
And you went shopping for us for a car so Sarah had a car for when she arrived, which was, thank you so much. Because for those listening, Dave used to do car salesman way back when. So
back when? Between radio jobs.
So I was just coming back and forth on the visitor visa, which got cancelled, on my trip last year in April, and I was like, what are we going to do? Because my spousal visa, there wasn't a visa available for me, so it was like, are we going to have to live apart for the next year, 2 years? It was that unknown.
Oh, stressful. I mean,
it was super challenging to be back in Australia, not knowing which way things were going to go.
Yeah,
it was just that thing of like, I guess, to rewind back to when Sarah came, she quit her job, I quit my job. And we
walking on faith, right?
It was that thing of like, the all of nothing, no plan B. Because, we had bought the car, signed the contract for the rental, where we used to be on music, near Music Row. And it was like, when we found out the immigration ban got extended, it was like, oh crap, we've gotten rid of everything in our life here in Australia, apart from obviously my guitars and my music equipment. But we'd sold furniture, we'd given away stuff, and obviously thrown out some stuff as you do, and it was like, we've upheaved our lives. There is no other option, but it's gonna happen, whether or not you believe in the universe or whatever, or manifesting. And then when the option come up of applying for the O1, originally the lawyer was a little bit reluctant until I kind of laid out my career. And then he's like, okay, I think we got something. And you've got 8 categories in the O1 visa, and you only have to reach 3 to be classified as extraordinary ability, and we hit 4, which was really, really great.
That's awesome.
Just from all the things, that I guess most people, I don't go into a writer's room saying, hey, look what I've done, because, everybody's, an equal writer in the room.
Yeah.
And, it just means that the things that I've done are tools that I can bring into the room, from the experience, as a guitar player and as a songwriter and a singer to some degree. But it's been really, really challenging, because during that time, Sarah's grandmother passed away, and she never got to say goodbye to her. And the short time that I had back with my dad in December of 2021, I was back with him for a couple of weeks, and he passed away, which was really, really hard because we were reconnecting with Sarah moving over here. I stayed with Dad, and it was just a really nice time to spend with him. And after he passed away, people telling me how proud he was and talking about me doing all the Nashville things.
Exactly. Do you know?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, all of that stuff has been.
You've had so many blessings, and reading your bios and more about you. I've known you for a while, but sometimes you see things and you go, yeah, that makes sense. That your parents were very supportive of your music career,
man,
and not every parent is. What's your backup plan? Well, you got but your folks, like mine, really supported everything you've done, and now your wife the same.
Yeah, absolutely. That is an extreme blessing. My mum, she had 4 brothers. Like, she was one of 11, 4 brothers that were musicians. So it was, it was in the blood, and it was inevitable that I was probably become a musician.
You knew at a young age, right?
Well, no, not really. I did Aussie rules football. I played cricket. I played basketball. I did the usual things that a kid does.
Yeah,
to figure out whether you actually are going to be any good at something like that. A lot of people go on to be successful as a sportsman. And it was around about the age of 12 that I started learning guitar, and that made my mum very happy. And Country Roads was one of the first songs I learned. Shutters and Boards by Charlie Pride. My mum loved Charlie Pride. Like, I've got my parents' record collection now, and it's just like, wow, they had a bunch of country music, plus rock and roll. That was country and rock and roll. Yeah, all that stuff. So when I eventually finished high school, I was in a band by the name of Innocent was the band name.
And were you?
And our so-called record label was called Guilty as Hell Records, right? which was kind of funny.
It is funny.
On the cassette tape that we had, Innocent, Born with Sin was the name of the album. But when I finished high school, I did cooking subjects.
You are a great cook.
Yeah, I love cooking. And I could have had the opportunity to become an apprentice chef when I finished high school.
Wow,
which is like first year chef, second year, third year, fourth year, and while you're working in the restaurant, you're also studying at school.
Yeah.
And I made the decision with that band. We all made the decision to move to Melbourne, from our country town.
About 3 hour west.
Yep. To be rock stars. We kind of were for a moment. That band had some really great success locally. We played with some big Australian bands, which was really, really great. And we did really well. My parents were like, never ever, you have to become a chef. No, that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And I wish Mum was alive to have seen me, to obviously achieve the things that I've achieved, especially over the last few years. I mean, Dad got to see a little bit of it, but Mum passed away when I was around about 22. So
really?
In 1995. Don't do the math, please, people.
Please don't.
That's how young I am. But yeah, that. I couldn't have done this without them believing in me back then. And one thing that I always remember fondly, when my parents would travel that 3 hours to come and see me play at a crappy club in Melbourne, and my mum would always say, "Get up there and kick ass, son."
I love
Even
that.
if there was 5 people in the crowd, like, she just loved it. She just absolutely loved it. And Sarah kind of flies that support flag for me now.
That's awesome.
Sorry,
she's just wonderful. I know you're choking up. Yeah, but she is. You guys are amazing together.
She's an extraordinary woman.
And I'll tell you, side point. I love how you prioritize things. Recently we wrote together, and I had a gig come available on a Sunday night, and I asked you to join, and you said, "No, that's my night with Sarah," and it made my heart feel so good. I mean,
we try and keep the weekends together because she's incredibly busy during the week with her corporate job, and
very good at it too.
She's a boss at that. She's like a number one songwriter. She's like Ashley Gawley in the cybersecurity field. Seriously. Seriously, like, yeah.
awesome.
She got us to Barbados this year. She went to Peru last year because she was the
Awards.
number one earner for her
great.
company. Which, she's an extraordinary ability in her field, that's for sure.
So I think that worked out pretty well. The whole, pick it up, move, without a plan B.
And Sarah's been all about adventure since we've been together, and life is an adventure. I mean, we just kind of got that itch, and it's like, let's definitely do this. And I guess we can't really say it's gone better than expected or worse than expected. We're just, now that I'm finally here, we can make plans for the rest of our life, which is great, because the last 3 or so years has been
rough.
How do we figure this out? And, I would keep going into a thing, what we call puzzle mode, where, how do I would just get so frustrated with not knowing where things were going to go. And when I was putting together the O1, the meticulousness of me putting together PDFs of like the song Best One Yet, and all the accolades that we'd get were in a PDF, and every radio station that went to was all in a PDF.
Wow.
Like everything. So then that was presented to the...
Incredible.
And that's what I call puzzle mode, because if I sit and do a puzzle, I will sit and do it for a very long time and shut out the world.
Yeah, that's
cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's the nerdiness of when I was young. When I was bullied in high school, I went to an all-boys Catholic high school, and I got bullied really bad. And
really?
and
I can't imagine
I would
that.
go and hang out with the nerds playing chess.
Oh, no way.
So that was, and then until...
Then when you became a rock star, everything changed, right?
When I because I'd stopped playing guitar for a little while because of the bullying, and I failed year 10 for the first time, what you'd call 10th grade here. Mm-hmm. So those bullies went to a different campus.
Yep.
And Mark Velko, great keyboard player back then, his mum owned a music store, and he came up to, he was in 10th grade for that new year that I repeated, and that's when I started the band Phoenix Rose.
Wow.
That changed my life. Music saved my life.
Music has changed your life.
And failing saved my life, really. Like,
You can't be afraid to fail, right?
Absolutely.
No.
And at the time, when you're a teenager, it's like the end of the world.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
But
Yep.
then knowing that, oh my God, I wouldn't have this band.
Yeah.
This wouldn't have become what it became when I was young.
Like, it seems like my mom always used to say, it all happens for a reason, and you look back at that.
You can look back at the age we're at and go, I'm glad that happened. As much as it sucked when I was a kid and it was horrible, and that's all stayed with me for a long time, until you start. I think when you're older, you start processing and viewing life differently.
Yes,
like,
you do. Yeah.
That was actually a blessing that I was beaten down like that, and that I couldn't do school, and I failed, and then I tried again, and it was.
But you can do music. And let me just add, I want to hear another song, but I want to go back to all the hardships and things you say you've been through, especially recently. How did that affect your writing?
In terms of dad passing away?
And the whole getting to the United States, wife here, you're not.
That was
writing a good way to cope, I guess.
Yeah, it absolutely was. It was, I was getting up at 5:30 in the morning, to get ready to write. I'd meditate, I'd go for a morning walk, have breakfast. So then at 8 a.m. when I was starting,
you'd be Zoom writing like with us, and it'd be the afternoon for us, and you're early in the morning.
So that was what I had to look forward to, and obviously speaking to Sarah every day, and we'd have date nights where we'd be watching a movie together, and we played like games together on Facebook, like on Messenger. You can play like little golf games and stuff. So
that's great.
It was just like, how do we become creative on date? Like, what does date night look like? And it just became challenging, and then I'd get fixated on the O1 visa, and that's all I would talk about because I really wanted it to happen. And it was really, really challenging, but songwriting and seeing the people that I wrote songs with, really got me through, because it was like, well, I'm looking forward to writing with Billy and Dave today, or any number of those people that I write with. It was.
And we've written some good songs over the years,
and a lot too.
We have, yeah. Do you have a song that you could share that talks about Maybe
I have not
your
written about
relationship?
it.
No?
None of those challenges. I just don't think my brain's ready to do it yet.
Gotcha.
You know?
No, I understand. That's what we do. But how about something else for us in the story behind the song?
I would. I mean, there's not an incredible story behind this, but I kind of feel I want to bring some lightheartedness because I played this song down in Key West. I just did Key West in May, and
that's right. I wanted to mention that. Yeah.
And
Key West Song Festival is great.
Yeah, and this was kind of a highlight. And whenever I play it out, and whenever my co-writers play it out, it always gets a great reaction. So I kind of wanted to do a fun song. So because obviously we've done the Next Heartbeat. And I've done Raised Right, and this is more of a kind of a fun song. I wrote this with Leslie Bowe and Michael Ruger, and we've been writing together. Yeah, great guys.
We just did a round
great
not
writers.
too long ago together.
And Michael brought this idea, and as you know, you get into the Zoom or the room, and it's like, hey, what ideas have we got? And you throw out a title, and something kind of sticks with everyone. You're like, oh, I think I like that. Let's have a stab at that. And Michael's like, there's a sign as you're walking down de Montbriand that says tacos and tequila. And so he wrote that down. And he goes, I don't know what it even means, but it's kind of cool. I need the alliteration of tacos and tequila. And so we're like, oh yeah. And we ended up writing a breakup song about tacos and tequila.
I gotta hear this. Michael Saleta here on the Songwriter Connection.
Try to catch a cab in Espanol, but I couldn't tell the driver where to go, 'cause the only Spanish that I know is sí, and ya no hablo. So flip-flop a block or two to a cantina with an ocean view. The only thing I wanted to do is forget her saying I'm leaving you. So I asked the bartender to help me please. He said, sí, senor, what do you need? I said, give me some tacos and tequila. Yeah, till I can't feel her tearing me up on the inside out. We're pouring my heart out on the ground. I had a little salt and lime, I clear my mind one shot at a time. I'll be fine, just need some cabo senoritas, tacos and tequila, hey! Margarita put me up the dance, says she's never seen a gringo look so sad. 6 drinks in, barefoot in the sand, swaying with the mariachi band. Yeah. Something about her Latin moves had me thinking about my next move. Got me thinking about my ex now too. I gotta kick these missing her blues. I need tacos and tequila until I can't feel her tearing me up from the inside out. We're pouring my heart out on the ground. Add a little salt and lime, clear my mind one shot at a time. I'll be fine, just need some cabo senoritas, tacos and tequila, hey! Tacos and tequila. All right, Dave, let's talk about this for a minute. Let's talk about drinking on vacay. Let's talk about eating that pain away. Let's talk about never ever going home, staying way south and staying gone on. Tacos and tequila till I can't feel her tearing me up from the inside out. We're pouring my heart out on the ground. Add a little salt and lime, I clear my mind one shot at a time. I'll be fine, just need some cabo senoritas. Come on, tacos and tequila, hey! Woo. Tacos and tequila. Tacos and tequila.
Boy, that is awesome. Kenny Chesney, are you listening? Kenny's people, are you listening? That's a great song.
It's just a fun song.
Yeah, really.
A fun breakup song.
Lee Rascone, senior who runs doing writers rounds here over 30 years. Has he heard that song? It's his favorite. He always says tacos and chilies, friend.
Oh, really?
He would love that song.
So I'm playing there next Thursday with Tracy Richardson.
Well, you got to play that song.
All right. I will definitely.
And send it out to him.
Okay.
He always says, tacos and chili, children. He'll love that.
All right, cool.
And let's talk about it. That's clever. You know.
Well, I'm all about dad jokes all the time when I'm in riots. And
I love dad jokes.
And I said whenever Michael and Les, whenever they do it in a round, or the three of us might be in a round together, like they always give me credit because I was like, hey, let's do a dad joke in this bridge. Let's talk about it. Because
I love it.
I want a piece of me, like the pizza thing. You can do that kind of thing, or let's talk about it. And they're like, oh, I love that idea. So
clever.
They ran with it as as immature as that is. And yeah, it's a fun part about it. And when I did it down in Key West, I
bet it went over
slowed it
big
down like
there.
They loved it.
I'll bet.
And the demo doesn't quite do that slow down breakdown for that.
No.
But you know how that works with a demo. It's just to kind of represent the song. But yeah, we definitely emphasize the good time, all that kind of stuff when we do it live. That's not in the demo either.
Absolutely.
But it's just a fun song.
Really
and
I bet you had a blast writing it. You guys,
we did have a really, really good time. A lot of laughing in that, and it's really interesting, and you probably find it as a songwriter, considering, you've written a lot of stuff as well. It's like, how do we write a song about tacos and tequila that is going to make people feel something, whether it makes them laugh or it's something they can relate to? How do I get over somebody? And I think that's one of the great things about writing.
I do too.
Each and every week, it's like, how do we write tacos and tequila? I mean, it could be written a ton of different ways. And
I love doing it, throwing out a title or an idea.
Yeah.
How do we write this? And, everybody starts throwing in, and the next thing you know, you got a tacos
I think that's
and tequila.
Definitely one of the best ways of doing it is just kind of going from that title, because
Absolutely.
I think if, thinking back to, my band days, you'd go in with a half-finished song or just about finished song, and then you'd, hey, what do you think of this, this idea that I have, this song that I have, and they're just kind of helping you finish a song.
I've done it that
and so
way
you're
too.
more invested in that as a songwriter.
Uh-huh.
Whereas I love the whole thing of like, this is just a title, not sure what it means yet. Like, when Michael came in that day.
But it sounds interesting, guys.
And
Let's
it's like,
go for it.
there's something about
Yeah.
the alliteration of tacos and tequila, and it's something everybody can relate to. I mean,
awesome.
People enjoy drinking tequila and people love tacos.
That's right.
And when you're way down south, trying to get over a girl, what a great way to get over a girl. Just
exactly right. Michael, where do we find you? You're on all the socials, right? And you've got a link tree.
Instagram. Linktree has, if you click onto, Instagram, it's got the little bio thing where you can click onto the Linktree, which has, articles, links to the previous podcast, other podcasts I've been on, some of the accolades over the years, and then links to the artists I've, had songs with. And that was actually, I think, created by some Aussie guys, Linktree. And it's just such a great platform.
I got to make me one of those. I have to.
It's really, really cool. You do that, have your artistry stuff, the podcast stuff, anything else that's going on. It's
pretty cool.
It's such a great platform.
There's a tip for you songwriters right there to help get your stuff out there.
Yeah.
Michael, thank you. In just a short amount of time, you've done so many great things. I multiply that by the next 5-6 years, and there's no.
I'm looking forward to what's ahead in the next 5 years.
I'm telling you, it's an exciting journey, isn't it?
And yeah, I couldn't have done this without Sarah by my side, and that's a guarantee.
Her.
And even the belief in my we talked about my parents, that their belief in me wouldn't give me the ability to actually believe in myself. Because as creatives, that's one of the hardest things we have to deal with every day.
It really is, because we're so self-critical,
It's like, is this good enough? Am I good enough? But, when you do have a reflective moment, like when I was doing the 01, to be like, I've had some cool things happen.
You certainly have.
And to be able to talk about it. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for taking the time. I know you have a busy writing schedule, so I appreciate you coming here and being on the show and sharing songs around the dining room table.
It's been fun.
You're the man. Say hello to Sarah. Give her a big hug for me.
We hope you enjoyed this intimate glimpse into the world of songwriting and found inspiration in the stories shared by our talented guests. Remember, the magic of music lies not only in the notes and chords, but in the emotions and experiences woven into every lyric. Until next time, keep listening, keep creating, and keep the melodies alive.